What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome topics for you guys, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it here, and we're going to be talking about the big Soul Hackers 2 Nintendo Switch sales controversy that has been going around a little bit in the Mega 10 community, the ATLUS communities out there. Now, we knew about the Japanese sales. The Xbox Series, the Xbox One obviously didn't chart in Japan. It didn't do so hot in the UK starting out as well, but we were all kind of waiting to see how it did in the US because the US is the biggest video game market in the world, and we've seen before, like in some cases with Astral Chain, it not do so well in Japan starting out, just do okay, but then do a lot better when it comes to the US. So we always have to kind of wait and see before we declare something, didn't have a good start or anything like that. But I think it's safe to say now at this point with the August 2022 MPD that Soul Hackers 2 probably didn't do as well as ATLUS would have hoped for it to do. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is because on the most recent MPD charts, Soul Hackers 2 opened up at 15th place despite being on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and also PC. So it was available on so many different platforms. It was available for everyone to go out there and get. It wasn't like it was an exclusive or a time type of thing. It was available, and it didn't necessarily do too hot. Games like Digimon Survive, obviously Xenoblade Chronicles, and multiple other games that have came out before, or even in the same type of category, Japanese style of RPG, definitely did better than it right here, what we're seeing with Xenoblade and also with Digimon Survive. So that is something that's a little bit interesting for people out there. Why did it not do so well? What's going on with the Nintendo Switch would have helped it do better? And I think that we need to separate these things because there's a lot of arguments and stuff back and forth. So one, I don't think in the current way that the game was developed that a Nintendo Switch version would have saved it or would have made it sell like 1 million copies plus or anything like that. I don't think so. My issue with Soul Hackers 2 is that the game should have not been in the current form that it's in. They chose Unity, a engine that's already kind of rough on the Nintendo Switch. They've made strides, but it's already kind of rough. In my opinion, since this game is an old school game, this is from the Sega Saturn back in the day in 1997, never got released in the US from that version, and then on the PS1 ported over a couple years later, and then we didn't get it here in the US until all the way, I think it was 2012 in Japan for the Nintendo 3DS, 2013 here in the US. So we didn't get it for a while. So most people, or I would say a lot of people that know about Soul Hackers, that name, they realize it from the Nintendo 3DS. They know about SMT or the Mega 10 style of games from the Nintendo 3DS, a portable style adventure or a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo type of game. So when you go from that with the 3DS and then a decade later you decide to say, okay, we're going to do a follow-up from what we did from the Nintendo 3DS. Yes, it's not a direct story-wise. You don't have to necessarily play the beginning game to know this. People still associate the brand with that. And then you decide to do it in this type of way and put it on platforms like the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X and Xbox One. And then on top of that, you don't even do a great job of optimizing it for those said platforms. It runs terrible on the Xbox One. It runs terrible on the Xbox One S. The Xbox Series X version isn't as optimized as it should be. So you bring it to those platforms and then you don't even do the best job of optimizing for it. So then the people that are even have those platforms are saying, well, wait a minute, I like to play my games on Xbox, but this isn't necessarily the quality of port that I would like to see. So you're already kind of behind on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to go for a new audience or do something that way, you're already behind because you didn't optimize it for that audience. So the thing for me is that the optics for this game should have been completely different in my opinion. The optics for this game is that it should have been a game that was built for the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. That's really what it should have been built for. And then of course people can play backwards compatibility. I think that they bit off more than they can chew, because this game does have some issues even on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, PS5. I mean, it's better than the Xbox versions of the game, but it still even has a little bit of issues with that. And this game necessarily doesn't have the most intricate design. Heck, if you look at the Digital Foundry stuff, they even talk about how Shin Megami Tensei 5 on the Nintendo Switch looks better in many respects than Soul Hackers 2. So I think that the optics and what they decided to do for this game was the problem. That was the biggest problem to me, because I feel that they bit off a bit more than they can chew, and they didn't do a great job of optimizing it and making the best type of game for their target platforms if you're going to skip the Nintendo Switch, right? Because this game, it wasn't developed like well before the Nintendo Switch was out there and they can say, okay, well, we didn't have dev kits or we didn't know what was going on. It was probably developed mainly in the time that the Nintendo Switch was dominating and still is dominating Japan. They saw that. So I have an issue with the market analytics. When they look and say, okay, what type of game are we trying to make? What's selling? What's doing well on what platforms? What can we do? And not looking at all of the great games that have released on the Nintendo Switch, Japanese RPGs, and have done great or have boosted sales a lot being on the Nintendo Switch platform, which they've done before. Persona 5 Strikers came out on the Nintendo Switch despite there not being Persona 5 on the Nintendo Switch, because they knew that, hey, this is probably going to be a good idea to get it on there, and they sold multiple times more by having it on there. It doesn't have to sell more than the PlayStation version. It just has to do a good job and be worth the effort. And I think that it would have been more worth the effort having it on Nintendo Switch, because the Switch dominates Japan, because we see the market share and everything. So once again, I want to make sure that I'm clear with this. I'm not saying that Soul Hackers 2 on the Nintendo Switch would have saved everything and would have sold so many copies and everything would have just been fine. I have an issue with the optics and how they developed this game. If you're going to bring this back after a decade or so, it needs to be on the platform that people identify with that. And on top of it, you need to make sure that you optimize for the platforms that you're releasing on. What are you releasing Series X and all that for if you're not going to take the time to optimize it, especially when the game isn't a super graphics AAA type of game and has a lot of repetition and how the dungeons are and everything. It's not the highest quality of Mega 10 game out there when there's SMT5, when there's Persona, when there's other games they make that are better, yet you're charging $60 for the game. So that's my issue outright with it. I mean, what we saw is that Soul Hackers, it did number 15 on the NPD charts. I think it was number 10 on the PlayStation charts. So it just sneaked in on the top 10 at the very bottom. And then it didn't even chart on the Xbox charts. And I don't blame them considering the tech breakdown of the game, especially if you're still rocking with the Xbox One S or something like that. So I understand. Or even with the Series S, the Xbox Series S, it's not necessarily best optimized for that. So I think that there was many issues from the marketing to where they wanted to target this game and kind of a lot of things. I would have went with PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. That's what I would have went with, and I would have optimized it and fine-tuned the games for each one of those platforms. And I think that you could have had just as much success, if not way more success, by doing that and just saying, hey, we're going to do this. And of course, if you played on your PS5 or if you played on your Xbox Series, it's going to play better. But I think that they bit off a bit more than they can chew. They kind of outsourced some of the development of the Xbox Series, and it ended up just not working out the way they wanted to work out. And a lot of people didn't buy this game, even when the game is solid. It's not a game that should be this far down on the list, considering a game like Saints Row, right, which is obviously more popular franchise and everything, but Saints Row was a game that reviewed terrible, and it was number 2 on the list when it comes down to it. So just because the game doesn't get, a 90-something average or as high as Xenoblade or something like that, that doesn't mean it shouldn't not sell at all or it should sell poorly. Digimon Survive didn't review the best either, and that's selling pretty good, largely in part due to the Nintendo Switch when it comes down to it. But what are your thoughts when it comes to what I had to say here with Soul Hackers 2? Do you feel that the optics were wrong? Do you feel that the marketing wasn't there, which was a big problem in my opinion as well? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We've got an extra nice little goodie when you purchase Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion at Best Buy. And this is not an ad or anything for myself. I'm just saying, hey, there is a pre-order bonus, and you guys might want to check this out. So Best Buy has revealed an exclusive pre-order bonus for Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. By reserving the game, buyers will be entitled to a unique steelbook. We have a look at it right here. Now, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is an updated version of the PSP original, even though, man, that's an understatement. It's like a whole remake of the PSP original. It features improved graphics, fully voiced dialogue, new soundtrack arrangements, and gameplay adjustments. You guys can check out my video that I did on it before discussing it because I'm very excited. It's right there. I think I did it this week, so it's on the channel. And of course, let's go over some more about this game because I think that it's going to be really good on the Nintendo Switch and of course PlayStation, Xbox, PC. It's on everywhere. So Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is the HD remaster version of the smash hit prequel to Final Fantasy VII. In addition to all graphics being remastered in HD, fully voiced dialogue and new soundtrack arrangements make for a dynamic new retelling of a beloved classic. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion follows the story of Zack Fair, a young warrior admired by the boy destined to save the world, trusted by men renowned as heroes of legend, and loved by a girl who holds the fate of the planet in her hands. The tale of Zack's dreams and honor, the legacy that connects him to Cloud, is revealed in full in this grand saga that has broken the limits of an HD remaster. So they kind of even talk about it. They've broken the limits. They went above and beyond what you would expect for this style of games. I feel that there's a few companies that do this very, very well. And I think that like Activision with like Crash Bandicoot and Tony Hawk, they did a great job with those. But I think that this is on that level, if not even a bit higher. So I'm very excited for this game. I think that it's going to do really well on all platforms, but especially on the Nintendo Switch because this was a PSP game. People play this so they can get a Final Fantasy style portable experience anywhere that you want, because before we had gotten Final Fantasy games portable, but not like this. This was the first time that we saw it with that quality of graphics where you can play that anywhere that you want on the PSP. It was almost like a portable PlayStation 2 in your hands there. Not quite as good, but very close, right? So I think that it was very unique and fun back in the day, and now they're bringing it back and even modernizing it more. It's hard to find many games, in my opinion, for remasters that are as high quality as Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Based on all of the hands-on and footage that we've seen so far, even with reports that the Nintendo Switch version is still going to be 60 frames per second and keep up a lot of the graphical effects the other versions have. So I'm very excited to jump into this game. And remember, get yourself a Steelbook at Best Buy if you pre-order it there. So what do you guys think about Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion and the pre-order bonus? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We've got Master Detective Archives Rain Code Mystery Full. If I say that right, Mr. Full. Limited edition revealed. So this is something that I pre-ordered recently on Amazon, and it looks really cool. So Spike Chunsoft will release a Mystery Full. I don't even know how to say that. Mr. Full. Limited edition of Master Detective Archives Rain Code. It's been revealed. In addition to the game, buyers will receive a few extra goodies: an outer box with exclusive art from Ryu K, a steelbook, a spirited 6.5-inch Shinigami plush. Ooh, that's nice. And Noise of Neon soundtrack composed by Masafumi Takada will be included as well. Now, you'll also be getting an art book featuring commentary from Kazutaka Kodaka, also Ryu K, and more. Now, Master Detective Archives Rain Code was confirmed for the Nintendo Switch during a recent Nintendo Direct. The project is being made by the creators of Danganronpa, which is very exciting, especially from the story perspective. Now here's a little bit more information about this game. A brand new dark fantasy detective action game from the minds behind the Danganronpa series. Yuma, an asthmatic detective in training, and Shinigami, the spirit haunting him, tackle unsolved mysteries in a strange city caged by an unending rain. Now, Master Detectives versus a mega corporation. A city of rain is gripped by innumerable unsolved mysteries. Los Angeles? What? Under a complete control of a mega corporation, master detectives from around the world, each possessing unique powers, must rise to the challenge of uncovering the truth. With Shimigami by his side, Yuma joins the investigation as a trainee of the detective agency, travel freely within a fully 3D environment of the city to gather evidence and testimonies. So I think that this is what actually makes me excited about this game more than Danganronpa, because that's kind of more of a visual novel style of game. It's not quite like an actual adventure, but this game kind of blends those elements of the storytelling and detective work and all of that with a fully 3D action adventure or exploration type of game. So I love what they're doing here. I immediately pre-ordered the game, the special edition here, and I'm excited to kind of get into it. I think it looks pretty cool. Now you can head over to Amazon right now if you want and pre-order this special edition. The game will launch in spring 2023, and I think that it's going to have one of the best stories that we've seen, because the Danganronpa games, those games are insane, they are violent, they are shocking, they are so many different things from what I've seen. So I'm excited for this one here. It's got a cool aesthetic to it, and I think it's going to be a great game. So what are your thoughts when it comes to everything that we've discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.